Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
I am born to achieve greatness, and so are you. On today's episode of the Born to Achieve Greatness podcast, we have with us as our guest, Miss Phebe Trotman. Phebe is a successful, heart-centered, and an entrepreneur based in Vancouver, Canada, who is passionate about helping others discover the joy in both her athletic and professional careers. Phoebe's personal success has been a testament to the fact that anything is possible with hard work, dedication, and a team-centered approach. As an athlete, she has achieved numerous accolades as a soccer player, including induction into several sports Hall of Fames, championship as an exceptional athlete. Phebe has also excelled in her career as a network marketer, earning top awards and recognition within her company. Phebe is a champion for personal growth, believing that reaching one's full potential creates a ripple effect of inspiration and motivation. Phebe is passionate about helping others on their journey to unlocking their potential and living their best lives. Welcome to the Born to Achieve Greatness podcast, Phebe.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I love what you guys are doing with just inspiring and helping people to achieve greatness.
That is so true. That is what we're about. That is honestly what we're about. So we have a champion in our midst today, right? So we want to really, get the best out of this champion that we're sitting. This is greatness in our presence, and speak to our viewing, our listening audience, right? Of the things that made you stand out to become that champion and have the spirit of wanting to help others.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a journey and a process. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about life is, we're all going to go through twists and turns, and it's what do we do with those twists and turns? And one of the lessons that I learned very early on as an athlete, and I'm just so grateful that I was blessed with the parents that I had, because the situation could have gone different ways. And one of the things was I had a high-level athlete at a young age and excelled, and I'll give you the short version of the story. But that being said, I didn't make a team, and I probably, in hindsight, I could have made it. However, I didn't get chosen, and I was devastated by it, cried for a while, and I think my parents finally had enough of me crying, and so they sat me down and they had a conversation that, again, as I said, it could have gone two ways. And fortunately, my parents were very big into the personal development, leadership, their faith. And they kind of said, okay, well, what's done is done. And they threw it back to me and they said, you have two choices. Like, number one, do you want to let one coach's decision determine what you do next? And two, do you want to continue to play soccer? And that was such a huge lesson, and one I didn't want to hear back then. However, it served me well for a career in terms of realizing to focus on what we can control. And that is something that I believe we all have. We're all going to have bumps in the road. We all have situations. However, we get to choose what that situation means for our life. Back then, that was a defining moment for me because it forced me to look at my situation and realize, okay, well, what could I have controlled in the situation? I didn't make the team. That was done. However, I could decide what happened next. And that's really what it came down to. And that's when I made a very big decision that I was going to become an impact player. And that just meant whatever time I'm ever given on the field, I'm going to make my presence known, felt, and seen. And that has continued throughout, where it's all about, for me, doing the best of my ability with whatever situation and wherever I'm presented, whether it is as an athlete, entrepreneur, now as a coach and speaker. It's to help people to the best of my ability with the experiences that I've gone through and grown through. How can I now turn that around and help others?
Now that moment, right? We speak about hurdles. I just spoke to you about, something that the hurdles that we will face, and you have to find a way to go around, above, under. However, you just need to remove that hurdle. When you said you were cut, right? There's so many persons who may have been in your same position, and that may have been a defining moment. Was it because of yourself, or there were players that were better than you? Why were you cut from the team?
I think it's probably a combo of both. Like, I was playing a position I didn't normally play. And I think I probably had a bit of an attitude with it. To be transparent, I probably was like, wait a second, I play up front defense. So I probably didn't embrace it. Again, comes back to focusing on what I control. I feel like I did okay. Did I do as well as I could have in that position? No, probably not. And so I think it's a combo that there were other players who were better than me in that position, and I didn't embrace it at the time. And so that was, a tough lesson in hindsight, but a great lesson in the sense that although it was painful and I was devastated and I was, disappointed in many ways, it really did, again, because of how my parents handled it and them bringing it back to me in terms of turning around as a lesson, it became a lesson. It could have gone another way. And I often think that, and I believe as people, we can do that with so many things that happen, is like, look at a situation and had my parents turned it around and went, you know what, that isn't fair. That's not right. That shouldn't have happened. You should have made the team, and went through this whole thing. That whole lesson we would have lost the lesson in it. And so that's why I just say I'm so grateful for the parents that I had, because it set me up for a life where when situations do happen, I do take some time with it and go, okay, now I can choose how to respond to it. The situation is the situation. What I get to decide is, how do I respond to it? What do I do from this situation? Do I want to grow from it? What can I learn from this situation? And how can I allow this situation that I experience, whether good or bad, to serve me in the future?
Yeah, you owned it. You took ownership. You took ownership of it, and you were to come back and do whatever it had to been done to change that, not getting cut again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, in life, there's so much that persons, especially our young ones, because parents could go out. How dare you cut my child from the thing? And that could be that defining moment for that child, that they think that they're so good that no one's ever supposed to cut them, and in life they'll get cut again, and until mom and dad's not there, to do it. So they have to literally like take responsibility and understand that's basically what you're saying. So let us know like some of the successes that you have achieved since being cut, like how it helped you to arrive at the point where notoriety and the awards that you've gotten.
Thank you. Well, I think one of the, it made me really hungry. Like, I wanted to create success on the field. As I said, that moment was like, wait a second. Okay. How can I learn from this? How can I make sure that, to the best of my ability, I don't experience the getting cut, the hurt that came from that experience? And so I controlled what I could. I trained harder. Oftentimes I was by myself with a soccer ball, or I would be with my older brother, or my dad training. And I mean, I'm fortunate that because I put in that hard work, the results came from that. And I played on some exceptional teams where I've been able to win national championships on basically all levels, from university right to masters. And so that I'm super grateful for, as on a team level. Then there's a lot of personal accolades in terms of being inducted into Sports Hall of Fame, as well as there's a list. I don't want to go through the list, but a lot of different personal awards, like for All-American and NAIA Player of the Year and W League Player of the Year, and personal ones as well too. And so I'm grateful for all those highs, because it's sort of a testament to the hard work that was put in. And I'm also grateful for the challenges. And it wasn't always a cakewalk. Even going into university, I didn't start my first year. I came off the bench. They had a great lineup. That being said, I made sure my impact when I came off the bench, that it was known, felt, and seen. And then that just continued throughout my career.
Wow. And always with a winning attitude.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. We'll be right back.
Achieve Man, written by Warren Andrew Pinder and Dominique Bradford. This book passionately focuses on the challenges women have been made to go through and how to overcome them. In some cultures, being a woman disadvantages the girl child. This book carefully exposes the hurdles you might face. This masterpiece is the ultimate self-help guide for women. It reveals your true purpose and identity. Get your copy today. Available from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
Now segueing right into your professional life. You took that same championship spirit, the champion spirit, in there, like you said, at a high level of network marketing, earning awards and recognition there. Was that just coincidental, or?
I believe it's part of, any of us, we choose the lessons that we learn, we choose how to apply it. And I believe that one of my goals is just, I'm a person that I want to do the best of my ability in whatever area I'm in. And so when I transitioned into network marketing, it was the same thing. I wanted to create a successful business. I wanted to have an incredible team where there were leaders rising up throughout our team, and other people were getting recognized. And because I played soccer as a team sport, that team first mentality has always been it's just ingrained in me now. And so that was really one of my goals, was to, and I've learned over the years as an athlete as well, and in terms of leadership, leaders go first. And what I mean by that is I had to, as a network marketing leader, when I started my business, learn from other leaders, and then in some ways make it my own and bring my own values into creating my own organization. And I still had to lead first. So I had to be the one that was getting, in some ways, the recognition, the rewards, etc., because I wanted my team to know that it's possible. If we follow a system, you can have the same success too, if that's what you want to create. And really understanding from a team first mentality that everybody, on a soccer team, not everyone's going to play 90 minutes. That being said, everybody serves a role on that team. And the same thing applied. That was important for me in network marketing, was to make sure that my team knew everyone has a place here. You decide what you want that to be. Are you wanting to come in because you want to just make a little bit? You want to create, you just want to have fun, or you want to build this big organization? Wherever your goals are, I will meet you there and help you.
Wow. Speaking of goals, right? You have now, you're talking about personal growth, but personal growth of other persons. So on your journey, the potential, you're helping persons to fulfill their full potential and live their best lives. Give some advice, and examples of how they can measure up to fulfill their dreams and goals, aspirations.
Yeah, well, I think it starts with knowing what, and I always share this with people. It's like, well, what does success look like for you? Because it's so easy for us to get caught up in the social media, lifestyle where it's like, okay, well, you're supposed to be traveling all the time. Well, should you? What if you don't like to travel? That's okay, but I think we get caught up so easily in terms of thinking, well, isn't that what success is supposed to look like? Not necessarily. And so one of the things I always encourage people is think about, what does success look like for you? And one way to do that is something that I teach. It's called your dream day. And basically, I just encourage people to get a journal. I have a journal that I create as well too, but you can really just get a notebook with a pen and paper and sit down and really sit with it and think, what does a dream day look like for you? So for example, you, Warren, what does that look like from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you close them? When you open your eyes, what does everything look like? Who do you open your eyes next to? What do you do during that dream day? How do you feel physically, spiritually, emotionally? What does your finances look like? And what activities do you enjoy? And you write it out all in the present tense and really add the feeling into it. And you really write this out again from the start of the morning to the end. And the reason I encourage people to do this is it gives you something to focus on, right? Like goal setting, dream building gives us something to focus on, gives us something to work towards. And it allows you to kind of look at your life where you are now. And then how do you, bit by bit move towards creating and living that dream day? And everybody's dream day is going to look different. If I gave you my dream day, you might be like, wait, what? Get up at what time? Right? You might be getting up at 5. I might be sleeping until 8, right? Yeah. We're all different. And I think when we can take that time to do that activity, now we can be intentional with the things we say yes to, the things we decline for right now, the things we say no to, because if it doesn't take you towards living closer to your dream day, then maybe that's not the right choice right now. And so it's just given me a lot of clarity. And I've had moments of my dream day. I continue to retweak, evaluate, and kind of rejig my dream day as well, because as you move through life, you start accomplishing stuff. And then it's like, oh, let's dream bigger. What else do I want to enjoy? Or you start to see there's more ways you can impact people and help people, and things that you enjoy as well starts to grow. And so that's just something I really encourage everybody to just take some time with and have fun with it, get into the feeling of really what does it feel like to live that dream day? And they'll be amazed at when you start to live moments of that dream day, just how much it fuels you to keep moving forward.
That's really that concept. That reminds us, like I said, the last book we wrote, Exploring Achieve Land, right? It's just using the imagination, and that's basically what you're what you're saying, that you can actually dream of whatever it is. You're saying a dream day. We're telling you just imagine where the place that you want to be, where, what you want to achieve as your success, where you want to place yourself. All right. Uh, in after doing that, after you imagine or you waking up and writing out the vision of your dream day, how would you tell our audience to, to take action and moving forward to actually make this see that come to fruition?
Absolutely. Great question. So one of the things that I've done for years, and it served me very, very well in network marketing, is you have your vision, and there's so much power in just visualizing, right? And I love that, what you have with your book, because it does force us to pause, to bring into life what we want to create. And from there, now you want to break it into goals. So depending on what you have in your dream day and what your vision is, break it into a goal. And then the other thing that I recommend doing from there is break that goal into weekly activities. So for example, what I would do is every month I would set 3 goals. So I'd set 3 goals that I had my larger goal for the year or for 6 months, depending on the year and what the goal was. Then I would break that into smaller goals, and I'd have 3 goals that I would focus on for that month. And then I'd break those goals into activities. What activities do I need to do to hit that? So for example, fitness goal, very simple to say someone has a fitness goal and they want to, X amount of body fat or X amount of weight or whatever it might be. Now, to do that, there's certain things that you're going to want to do. So break it down into activities, whether it is going to work out 3 to 4 times a week. You might have a water goal. Break that down into how much water do you want to drink. You might track your food. And so basically it's taking a bigger goal, breaking it down into a smaller goal, and then breaking that smaller goal into activities that you can do for that time period. And that is the biggest thing, is really getting crystal clear on what you want. How do you break that down into smaller activities? And then I suggest, and I do this, track your activities, because there's something powerful when you can see, and I did this all the time with network marketing, because in the beginning I was like, well, why am I not having the success that I want? Well, I wasn't consistent. I wasn't consistently doing what I needed to do. So once you have a way to track that activity, now, if you're not getting the results, for example, weight loss or body fat, muscle, you can go, well, oh, actually, I only went to the gym once last month. Okay, well, now you know, right? So that's one of those simple ways, is just break it into smaller activities that you
I
can
want
do.
people to know that we're not just listening to someone who read a book or read or studied this in college, right? But someone that would have achieved success athletically and now professionally. So you live this, right? It's how much of it did you actually use it? This just came to you through practice as an athlete, or is this is when you got into network marketing that you begin to really, use what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I think indirectly as an athlete, being around it, and you have coaches, you have mentors, you have your teammates. So there's almost like a built-in accountability, because if you're not seeing the field, typically, well, there's stuff you have to do to make sure you are fit enough to be on the field, your techniques there, your skill, etc., mindset. So when I went to network marketing in the beginning, though, I didn't have the success. As I said, I wasn't consistent. I kind of was like, oh, entrepreneur life, work one day, don't work for 3 days. Like, I had this idea of what it meant to be an entrepreneur. And it wasn't until I really started to plug into the leadership, start learning from other people who had created what I wanted,
Mhm.
and then mimic the same activities, still being authentic to myself, realizing my own goals. So learning from them and then applying it, that's when I started to create success. And so from there, it's stuff I've lived, right? That's one of the biggest things, is I believe in teaching from a place of what I've lived, what's worked for me. I have incredible mentors. I've studied a lot. I've attended workshops. I listen to conference calls. I go to conferences. And so all of that has allowed me to continue to grow. And so I learn, I put into practice. Then from there, I can teach from it when I know I've lived it firsthand, and I've seen the results of doing these activities.
As a successful woman, what do you consider living your best life?
Living my best life for me is
Yeah.
being able to enjoy time with friends and family. That is like top of the list for me, is being able to have that time freedom to be present, enjoy time with friends and family, while also having the financial backing to be able to make choices and decide, how do I want to experience that time with my friends and family, as well as having the physical health to be able to enjoy that time as well too. So all 3 of them, physical health, I should say, spiritual and emotional, all tie in to making sure that I'm in a great space personally so that I can also maximize the time I have with my friends and family.
That's great. And that's your inner feeling. That's your personal emotional feeling of what you want to achieve, and not following someone on social media or putting pressure on yourself to think that someone else's life that you have seen that you want.
Yeah. And the reason I share that is because I've done that. I've had this idea of like, oh, okay, success means I have to have this and this house and this and all these things. And it was like, whoa, wait a second, is it? I've had to challenge myself on that. And I've realized that in getting swept up into what society tells us is successful wasn't fulfilling me. So that's where I encourage people to pause and go, like, are you finding joy in your everyday life? And how do you create that? Because that at the end of the day is, for me anyways, what really matters. And so figuring out, what does joy look like for you? What does a successful life look like for you? And being confident in that, and then working towards creating that.
Now for a commercial break.
Achieve Men, written by Warren Andrew Pinder. In this book, you will learn the 7 steps to achieving your dreams and goals. Given the vision to share how the acronym of the word achieve can be used systematically in your day-to-day life. Each of us is given a unique gift from God. Get your copy today. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
I asked that question specifically, to bring out the best, so someone can actually hear from a person who has achieved, these accolades. Understand that it's not about following someone else's, their dream or what they're living, the dream that they're living, but basically creating your own. When we talk about this, and it's interesting, you as a leader now, in your business venture as an entrepreneur, there are persons who are there. There are parents that may be listening, or, just the advice that you would give to a parent to be able to help them guide their kids, right? As in the moment when you were young and you said you had to make that decision. There are some persons who just don't know, my daughter swam for a minute and I was devastated. She was pretty good. And, I'm like, why did you stop? And it took her almost maybe 6 years to tell me later on the reason for, so a lot of people don't have that information to guide someone. What could you do to assist a parent in that position?
Well, I think that's a tough one. I would say, personally, number one is to learn as much as you can in general in terms of personal development, leadership, etc. Because I do feel like that does help in terms of, whether it's a story that you can share that you learn from someone else who's in a similar situation to help guide. It might be advice or how to communicate in a way that, because we all have different communication styles on how we receive information as well too. So it might be learning from someone how to best communicate a message to your child in a way that they'll be able to hear it, digest it, understand it. And so I do think a big part of it is from us as adults, parents, et cetera, to learn first and to take the time to invest in your own personal development, your own personal growth and leadership so that you can best provide that advice and guidance. That being said, everyone's journey is different, right? So, in some ways, maybe if a child is ready to, quote unquote, quit sport, and I mean, the title of my book and movement is Never Quit on a Bad Day. So if it's a situation where a child is ready to quit something, I would suggest, how can you help that child move through that? And if they're going to quit, then they quit on a good day. It's not they're quitting because they got cut from a team, if we're talking sports, or they're quitting because, it's too hard. Or no one likes it. The reasons that sometimes we usually quit something is based on a set of negative emotions. As a parent, I would say, could you help that child move through it? Let's finish the season, or let's finish, etc. And then you evaluate, because you're quitting or transitioning into something else, making that decision in a positive state of emotions or even a neutral state of emotions versus doing it from a place of anger or frustration or anything negative.
Yeah. So you're not the perfect moment. Let's talk about the book. Let's talk about. Let's segue right into that. I was going to be my next question. They said she hit it just out. Let's talk about it. Tell us about the book that you just wrote and how it can help persons inspire and motivate.
Absolutely. So the name of the book is, well, book series is Never Quit on a Bad Day, Inspiring Stories of Resilience. And so far there's 2 books out in the series. And the books really came from a place of, again, wanting to help, wanting to inspire, wanting to share. How do people move through those tough times? And what is a tough time? Everyone's going to have a different definition of that. And so the books really came from a place of wanting to share a lot of the lessons that I've learned from, my own journey, from mentors' journeys, and put it in a way where someone can read a short story about what someone's gone through. And at the end of every chapter, there's a section called Reflections on Resilience, which is really for the reader with a pen, answer some questions about your own journey. So, because I truly believe we're more resilient than we either give ourselves credit for or we realize. And so the book is really there to help inspire, to encourage, to give you some tools, some tips on ideas and strategies of ways that you can grow through your journey and learn from some of the lessons that you probably have already gone through or some of the experiences that you've already gone through. So the first book in the series features short stories from thriving entrepreneurs, and the second book in the series features stories from accomplished athletes. That being said, you definitely don't have to be an entrepreneur or an athlete to find value and lessons in the book, because it really is it's a story about a person who had a goal. And depending on the story, their goal is whatever it was for them. They were working towards that goal and they experienced some sort of setback, something that kind of rocked them a little bit. And then they share how they move through it.
Wow. So you have some exciting stories in the book. Any athletes that someone may know? Did you rub shoulders with anyone that that you want to dwell into? Oh, I want to see what he was all about or what he thought.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's funny because he just posted that the anniversary of when he broke the world record. So Donovan Bailey's actually in the accomplished. Yeah, the accomplished athlete.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Donovan's in there. And so he's been an incredible athlete. And he just celebrated the anniversary of when he broke the record. And so he is chapter 9 in the Accomplished Athletes book in honor of him breaking the world record. And
wow.
So,
You rub shoulders with Donovan Bailey. Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing, and his story is incredible, and the lesson that he shares in that book is powerful. And so I'm just grateful. And the athletes that are in that book are just all high caliber athletes who have created incredible success, and they share a bit of their story in the book, and a lesson that every person can take. One lesson, the Reflections on Resilience, is really written in a way where it allows you to take something that you can apply to your own life. So that's why I say it's not really about being an athlete or an entrepreneur. It's about being a person who wants to accomplish more in life, and how can we help you do that?
Oh man, to our audience, right? They really have to go out and get the book, because it's just so deep. And we here, on the Born to Achieve Greatness podcast, believe that it's in sharing. So you yourself, in getting these athletes to share, that it will motivate others to want to achieve. And then they in turn do the same and share as well. And that is how, the next great idea, that outstanding person will be identified through helping others to find the true potential within that. That's basically what we're about, what we're doing. So give us your handles, man. Give our listening audience your handles. You've been great here on this show, and it's been extremely interesting. But we want to share you with our audience. All right. So let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very easy to remember. Never quit on a bad day.
Never quit on a bad day. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I just want people to embrace that. I set out with this goal of, regardless whether someone opens the book, I highly recommend get the book, read the book, follow the tips in the book. That being said, I want your listeners to have that phrase in their mind, never quit on a bad day, because just think about how powerful that is if we all move through life. And even when we're faced with obstacles, even when we're having a bad day, a bad moment, even a bad season, if we just continue, and when we continue to push through that to get to the other side, that's where that greatness comes from. That's where we grow the most. And that's where we can continue to just evolve, and we get stronger and stronger and stronger to deal with the next hurdle that it happens, right? That's life.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
So super simple to remember, never quit on a bad day.
Never quit on a bad day, and remove those hurdles. Just find it, be intense about it, put 100% in it. Just remove those hurdles, Phebe, it's been so good to have you here today on this episode of the Born to Achieve Greatness podcast. It's just that to our listening audience, it's just never quit on a bad day. I'll end with that. Never quit on a bad day. I want to thank you very much, for being a guest on this show.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing to just, again, to continue to help, to grow, to inspire. And together we can all achieve greatness.
And I promise you, we'll never quit on a bad day. I promise.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve.
Take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Sign up today and claim your free ebook at www.borntoachievegreatness.com. Follow us on Facebook at Achieve Movement Inc. Get your copy of Exploring Achieveland, A Journey to Realize Your Dreams, Motivational Stories of Kindness, Inspiring Stories for Kids on Amazon and Kindle.